Good morning guys and welcome back to Bmw Engines. Right guys, we've had a couple of engines that have pretty terminal, to be honest, last week come in. The one from the thumbnail and the title is a 3-cylinder international tractor. Now, it's nothing too exciting, I do know that, but the reason I'm using this as a thumbnail and title is because whatever engine it is, whether it be an agricultural engine, whether it be a marine engine, or whether it be, a classic car or anything, a lot of people don't use an antifreeze, a good antifreeze. Prime example of why you should empty that water out and get all moisture out and really winterize the engine if you're going to leave it standing. As I say, it's a classic. We hear it all the time of agricultural and marine stuff, but it can happen on classic stuff. And now you know the sort of the value of these engines and how hard engine parts are becoming to get. This is why it's really important. So this engine here, this is a 3-cylinder international. Was suspect of the head gasket when he brought it in because it had blew at the top there by the valves. You see those 3 holes? Well, they all hold core plugs, and the one in the end. And he was suspect of the head gasket going, although the head gasket does not look good. Well, the head doesn't look good where the gasket goes. It's definitely been blowing. And he was suspect that it was a severe head gasket blow, and that's why it's blew the core plugs out. But I did state to him that usually if the head gasket goes, it will blow one core plug out. But as it's blew all the core plugs out, it's a little bit of a telltale sign that it's been full of water over the winter, and it's got frost damage. And it's the frost as the water sort of expands as it freezes, and it just pops the plugs out. And unfortunately, what he wanted to do was get some new liners put in this, face the block, go through the head, and then he was going to obviously put it back in the tractor. But on closer inspection, first of all, you can see where the pistons have been sitting. Wouldn't have been too bad because obviously we can replace the liners, but that there is when you leave moisture in the bore. So that's one good reason why you should winterize it. Put some oils down the bore if you're going to leave it. And that's the same on anything really. But on the back of the block here, you can see that it's been full of water because we've got a big crack that goes down here to the outside of the block, and it's cracked all the way along here. So what's happened there is it's full of water, the water's froze, and it's trying to push the side of the block out. We've seen this before on some of our engines, and we had a sunbeam in not that long ago, and you've seen on the side he'd had it all stitched up by a company. A really good job, but quite a lot of money to be done. So this block here probably could be rescued by being stitched, providing it's got no other cracks that you can't sort of get to. But we're going to have to ring him up and tell him that it's going to be quite a sort of expensive job to do that. And as I say, guys, the reason for me mentioning this really is to use it as a bit of a learning tool for you guys. If you're going to be leaving an engine over the winter, winterize it, get some oils down there, drain all the water and the fluids. Otherwise, that could happen. Next little disaster we had last week. This engine down here is a 1600 Bmw Mini Engine. We all know that these things can give trouble in various ways. The 1600, unfortunately, is the one that we struggle to get bits for, as in major bits. Now, a father and son drove to us from Dorset on Friday. Lovely guys, really nice to meet them. They were hoping that if they dropped the engine down here, we could have a look, regrind the crank, new bearings, etc., and go from there, really. But on closer inspection, and this was just in the back of their van, I got them to take off all the mains to check them. The mains were actually okay, but you see this big end here. Now, just by looking, that big end there is absolutely had it. It's spun a shell in the rod, so the rod's obviously scrap. You can see on the face of the cylinder head that the piston's been hitting the head, and that's usually a good indication that the big end's gone good and proper. But yeah, you can see that is absolutely mullered, guys. So the crank is going to be almost certainly bent. We've just got a couple of our suppliers at the moment looking out for a rod and a crank for this. But if no joy, they haven't really got their hopes up, because as I say, it's quite difficult to get bits for the 1600. If any of you guys out there have got a crankshaft for one of these, give us a shout, or put it in the comments and we'll give you a shout. But yeah, at the moment, just struggling on the major bits. We can go through the cylinder head, that's fine. If we can get pistons, we'll probably rebore it, because there's a bit of a lip up the top. I think this has done 100,000 miles. So yeah, it's a shame, guys, but we're seeing more and more of this now. A lot of guys don't really know what they're looking at, but it's surprising. That is a particularly bad one, but it's surprising how many people will look at a big end journal on a crank and think that that's absolutely all right and almost just needs a polish. But we can tell just by looking at it that that's hammered. That's probably down about 0.5 mil, that one. That's completely mullered. But yeah, so you know what we normally do, guys. Perfect example there is we'll have people ring up how much for a set of shells, as in big end shells, and we normally say, look, why do you want a set of big end shells? Well, it's just started to knock a little bit, so we're just going to, you know, put a set of shells in. And we say, look, if it's knocking, it's had it. You know, you've got to bear in mind the tolerances on these are so critical. It's only got to be down a thou. You're going to stick a new set of shells in. You're going to waste all that labour, a sump gasket, a set of bearings, and it's just you're going to get 5 or 10 miles down the road and it's just going to knock again. So we normally say to people, look, don't waste your money. We're not going to sell you a set of shells. You need to take the crank out, and the rod's probably knackered as well. So yeah, just a little word of advice there, guys. If it's been knocking, don't put a set of shells in it. So for whenever I want to natter away, guys, I'm going to just pop into one of our well-known automotive stores to grab a phone holder to put on my vehicle, to save doing exactly what I'm doing now and holding the phone. So I noticed in the comments a few of you guys have had a bit of a whinge about it, so yeah, just going to go and grab one of those. Keep you happy. Suction cup. That'll do. And there we go, guys. I am hands-free, just to keep you guys happy. A lot safer as well, to be fair. Right, the MSRT Transit. So I've had this van from last Wednesday, and I told you I was going to do a little bit of a review. It's now, what time is it? 12:15 in the afternoon on the Monday, and we're all on our way home. We've come in, we've done a hard morning's work, but unfortunately it's now reached 35 degrees here, and it's fairly unpleasant in the workshop, so we're off. And we're going to be coming back tomorrow. I think tomorrow the temperature is going to drop quite a lot, so should be a lot more bearable. So I think now really is a perfect opportunity for me to do a little bit of a review on the Transit, having owned it for what, sort of 5 or 6 days now. How am I finding it? What is it like as a work vehicle? Be honest with you, I've only ever really driven small vans, so this is the biggest van that I've driven, and the first thing I noticed, it's a little bit sort of wallowy. You're very aware of the sort of width of it, although it's a short wheelbase, so it's not that long. First impressions of the vehicle, done nearly 300 miles actually in it now, believe it or not. Used it for work, and actually at the weekend I went down to Torquay in it with a friend of mine. We went to a festival down there, which was really good. Always good to let your hair down now and again. Really enjoyed that. But the vehicle, absolutely faultless. What you notice first of all on the MSRT is the steering wheel. When I first sat in this vehicle in Ford, I thought, God, that's a bit unnecessary, the wheel. But having done a few miles in it, I'll tell you what, it is enough comfortable. It just sort of molds to your hands. Quite a lot's gone into the design of this, believe it or not, I reckon. It's everywhere you want to put your hands is comfortable and how it should be. All your controls are on the steering wheel here. So to the right you've got your phone and your menu buttons. To the left here you've got your cruise control and your radio volume, etc. So everything you need there. The stalks here for your indicators and your washer jets are, I suppose they're just as transits are, but yeah, real convenient place. This is the automatic model, so they do the automatic and manual obviously. This is a 6-speed auto box. We have a Mercedes actually at home, and that has like the DSG, I suppose, the twin clutch setup, and that's real nice. But this, to be honest, this does feel a little bit like that. Usually the auto boxes of the past that I've had, especially in vans, they feel a bit sluggish, they seem to sap a lot of power, but this doesn't really feel like that. You've got the manual gear changes in the side here, so you can use manual in drive, or you can just put it down into manual and just use manual on its own, and then it does just feel like a manual box. But in auto mode, you've got 2 modes. You've got eco and then normal. Normal will sort of keep the revs up, so you'll rev to 2.5 between gear changes. The ratios seem really good. Bats along, this is 185 PS, whatever that is in horsepower, same sort of thing. And the auto box doesn't seem to sap too much power out of it. It really behaves nicely. At the minute we're averaging, bear in mind a lot of those miles have been around the town. Even when I went down to Torquay, which is about 60-70 mile, that was round country lanes. We went in a little bit of a rat run really, just to see what the vehicle would be like round the country lanes with other vehicles coming on, and yeah, absolutely no trouble. But we're averaging 30.5 to the gallon, which is not bad at all really. And I say, on a straight road, on a run, we were finding about 60 mile an hour. It's doing well over 40, so you can't argue with that. So the first thing that I'm really impressed with the MSRT model is the steering wheel. The seats, so we've got half leather, half Alcantara. Alcantara, I absolutely love it. Got it in the Mercedes again at home, and I thought with our 3 kids, to be honest, we're going to struggle with that. That's going to be stained to buggery. But to be honest, we're finding it easier to keep clean than leather. Leather seems to mark up. The Alcantara just seems to, you can brush it if it stains, hoovers up lovely and feels absolutely lovely. Next thing with the MSRT model, you get the mats. You get carpet front and back in the cabin there, as opposed to a normal van, which wouldn't be. So that feels really nice, makes it feel a lot more like a car. The dash here, we got the touchscreen radio here with DAB and all the rest of it. You got aircon and everything you could want really. Active cruise control, so you're coasting down a hill, it'll brake for you. That's brilliant. Always had that in my Mercedes, love that. It's a real good touch. In the back, plenty of room for the kids. As I say, we've got 2 car seats in there, and the middle seat is like a normal seat. We've got an 8-year-old, and he's got bags of room with a normal seat belt as opposed to a lap belt, so really happy with that. In the back, tons of room. You know, we could get 2 or 3 engines in the back there still, even though it's a short wheelbase. There's tons of room. And yesterday, as I say, we used it as a family vehicle, went down to the beach, and yeah, the kids can get, it's got LED lighting in there, the kids can get changed in there, no troubles whatsoever. It's brilliant. You get the double buggy, all the bags of room. So yeah, a van as a family vehicle, well worth it, and we absolutely love it. So exterior, as you can see, the MSRT, it's basically just a pumped up sport. It's got the MSRT body kit. The front bumper is a work of art, where it sort of comes out at the side there, it looks real beefy, and I think that's what catches everyone's eye. You've got the side skirts, the rear arches, the MSRT logos, fantastic. And I think in this colour, where they got, I think they call these the SVO MSRT special colours. They're a bit leery. You got the lime green, the orange, the blue, like the baby blue colour, and I think they do a red. Lovely. Stand out like a sore thumb. And do you know what? I can't believe how much attention these things get, especially off other van drivers. It's like van envy. You're a god driving around in this. You've got the partition in between the cabin and the back, which is plastic and can be removed, as can the rear seats if you needed to load anything in that was a lot bigger, but we just keep that. It's nice. You've got the tinted glass in the back, privacy glass, with the pop-out windows. They're really good for the kids. We'll just go for a little drive, guys. Initial start up, it pulls off really well. It's not like your typical sort of old auto where it sort of revs to buggery before it goes anywhere. Yeah, to drive, as Say, once you get used to the width of this vehicle, and obviously you're sitting quite high, that's nice. The steering is so light, it's light as a feather. And I always like the seating position of vans, and now driven a big van like this, you're sort of sitting as if you're in a chair at home with your feet down as opposed to out, which is quite good for me because I've got a bit of a dodgy knee, getting old and all. The position of the gear lever is perfect. The steering is adjustable in and out. So to be honest guys, cannot fault it. You know, you've got all the bits on it. You've got cruise control, air con, the steering wheel's adjustable in and out, so are the seats. Yeah, don't know what else to say about it really. It's absolutely perfect. So thanks ever so much for watching guys. Until another video, like, subscribe, comment down below, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you in another video. Cheers guys.